Live?
Yes.
All right, at 6:30, I'm going to call the work session to order of the Joshua City Council, 101 South Main, Joshua, Texas. This is an open meeting subject to the open meeting laws of the state of Texas. We are also doing this by Zoom, although we are open tonight. Actually have folks out in the audience. Good to have an audience back again. On the website, if you go to the agenda, it will tell you if you have any questions, how to notify the city secretary, and then she will read your questions to council. We do have a quorum present, and at this time, I'm going to ask Angela Nichols to lead us in our pledge, followed by the invocation from Robert Fleming.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you that we're open and everybody's allowed to attend these meetings now in person. Thank you for our help and that we live in a great state in all the United States. Lord, I ask that you be with us tonight as we make decisions for this city, that you be with all of the administration here and the first responders as we go through this meeting tonight. Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Yes. Yeah, we brought it back.
Thank you.
All right, first item on the work session is to review and discuss questions related to the budget report and financial statement for February 2021. Does anybody have any questions on the budget? Questions. So the next item is discussion and receive direction on establishing an independent fire marshal's office to serve as a law enforcement organization by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. Chief Griffin.
Sir, I guess I'm here to answer any questions you might have. As you know, we want to establish the marshal's office. We've also taken on code enforcement responsibilities for the town recently. Having the ability to have our personnel licensed or certified as law enforcement will help us to enforce these codes and help us establish our own set of citations if we need to do that. Also investigations on the fire side as well, in that regard as well. We've already started doing some code enforcement, as you know. It's going really well. I've got some people that are being very, I wouldn't say aggressive is the word, but we're addressing all the issues that we've been finding around town proactively.
Good. Scott, did you have anything? I know you said you might have some questions.
Well, first of all, there's a couple things that Chief just said. Number one, if they're already licensed peace officers, they can carry. Number two, if they have a license to carry in the state of Texas, unless it's against the department policy, they can carry. So giving them this legal authority is not something as far as being able to carry firearms. That part's a moot point to me. I have a concern about having another law enforcement agency in the city of Joshua. We have our police department. We have Joshua ISD. Now we're going to have the fire department. I'm just a little thinking we're a little bit over policed here. I understand that this is for specialty type stuff. And as long as it's limited to that, as long as it's limited to what they do in the fire department, I don't have a problem with it.
I know that was one of your concerns, and I did talk to the chief about it, and he said that most of the cities around here do the exact same thing. I think you said Burleson, and what were all the cities? You were naming off a lot of the cities.
Well, I don't have all the list off the top of my head. Burleson definitely does. I believe Cleveland does, but don't quote me on that. But to relate or relieve his fears, we would have policies in place, which I've already started developing, that would prevent us from doing normal police activity work. We wouldn't be going out stopping people. We wouldn't be doing any sort of traffic enforcement, responding to police calls, anything like that. We'd be strictly doing file-related work, code enforcement activities.
Anybody else have any questions?
Can we see a copy of that?
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Can we get a copy of that policy?
You want something? We get a copy of the policy?
Absolutely. I mean, not a problem.
Y'all would see all of the policies that are put in place.
All right. Robert, you have a question?
I've gone down a few times the last month and talked to Chief Chris about it. Well, that and some other things. I don't see a problem with it. I think that, you know, typically don't see much arson here, but that would just help relieve the police station from anything as far as, you know, chain of custody of evidence or anything like that. It'd just be a clear cut, separated, you know, the powers that be. So I'm on board with it.
I actually witnessed them enforcing some codes the other day on 9/17. 802 triangle. I was very happy that we didn't get into a big fire that threatened us. So I don't have a problem with that at all. I think if we can see the policies and procedures that you will have in place, I'm on board.
Right, yeah, I'm good too. Like I said, if we just maybe, I guess, make it official, if you can bring all those policies maybe by the next meeting or what you've got put together, and then we can, I guess do we have to take a vote on this one?
We need some direction. You'll need to pass an ordinance. Am I right, Chief? An ordinance establishing that. We can get that prepared for you for next week.
Okay. All right.
So, I'm sorry. So if that's the consensus of the council, we'll get that started there.
Right.
I'm kind of with the rest of it. It's, I think it would alleviate the fire inspections and things like that. You know, in case it was arson, you know, just things like that. Would leave that side of it. You know, I think it would work well.
Okay. Rick.
No, Scott asked what I was going to ask, if it's just going to be fire related, or are you going to be out there running radar, getting out speeding tickets? And you said you got a policy on that. Yeah. Can we see that before we?
You will see all of the policies before anything is enacted. But yeah, I mean, y'all can see any policy you want. Absolutely.
Robert, we're talking about getting the fire department. I did check with another fire department, a larger one, and they are the same way. They have their fire marshal's office where they do have their own police authority or law enforcement authority. I guess it's not police, but law enforcement authority under the fire marshal's office. And that being the case, it's working well for them. And, the custody and chain of evidence and all of that is much easier that way.
I think one other point that Chief and I have already discussed about too, actually both Chief Short and Chief Griffin. Ultimately, at some point, an officer of the fire department will come in contact with an officer of the police department, whether it's on an accident scene or whatever. And the fire department will always defer to the uniformed officer present. So we're not going to have squabbles over whose jurisdiction is what. They will always defer to the law enforcement officer on the scene. So, or to the police department officer on the scene. So the policies that are put in place for those which are required to even have this license will have to be established, and you'll be able to get a look at those before anything's filed.
Good.
I do know the fire marshal in Burleson carries one, because years ago, we were on the BYA, and he carried one back then.
Right. Okay, well, I think we've got a consensus, so we can continue and, like I said, get us the policies and do the ordinance, and we'll go from there. All right, next item is discussion regarding the trash collection and billing issues during the February 2021 snowstorm. Do we have somebody from Waste Company?
We do, yeah, he's here.
Okay.
Mayor, let me start with, I've been kind of looking at the numbers, and there are, obviously there are some residents where service was interrupted all of them for a few days. And I think part of what we're not understanding is that granted, we didn't have 20,000-pound trash trucks driving up and down the streets when there was ice on them. But when they did start to roll, all of that trash was picked up. And so the volume that they received the first few days was pretty overwhelming. And we've tried to kind of explain that process. We've been tracking the number of calls that have come in since then. We've had 8 that were upset, wanting to know if there's going to be an adjustment made. And so, you know, I played around with the numbers a little bit. We've looked at out of total number of accounts, there's 1,853 accounts. We have 8 documented complaints. I don't know that this is a big problem other than it was kind of kicked around on Facebook a little bit and social media stuff. And so some things got said and you know, but I think the way above average resident understands that it was a huge event. It was, I think everybody gets it. What I would like to ask out of this is that we give the billing clerk some authority, some leeway to adjust bills where maybe people have called in and did have to actually do something else, maybe take their trash somewhere else, and we could take that on a case-by-case basis. I think that might be a much better fix than just a blanket reduction. For example, the reduction, basically, if you wanted to do it, if you eliminated for, say, the 4 pickups that happened, you'd be talking about $15,000. Yeah, we could do that. And if you want to do that, that's just what I'll have done. But I think no more people that we've gotten that have brought it up. I think a case-by-case basis might work just as well.
I agree that we need to get all the trash picked up. I guess what my main concern is communication. It seemed like we got a different response every day. The first time, okay, we're not going to make it today. I think everybody gets that and they're fine. And then we get a response, okay, once we start, we're not going to stop till we get everything picked up. Well, that didn't happen. Then we get it, well, we're not going to pick up any trash tomorrow. And then all of a sudden at 10 o'clock in the morning, we get a notice, okay, we're going to do the recycle today. And that's, I think, was one of the things that just added to everybody's misery because people had already left for work. And then after they left for work, you're saying, okay, we're going to come out and pick up the trash today. And when you said, okay, we're going to start on Thursday and we're not going to stop till we get everything picked up, people put out their trash and it didn't get picked up for a week. So I would like you to address, what are you going to do in the future? If you're going to put out a message and say, this is what our policy is going to be, then you need to stick to that.
Yeah, point well received by our company, Barrett. We could have done a much better job with communication. No excuse, but the task at hand was overwhelming. And when we got out there, obviously, all of our drivers or employees were really chomping at the bit. They were sitting at home. Everybody wanted to be at work. When we started off and we hit the streets, the intention was, yeah, we're going to get it done. And we were stuck with 4 service days behind, and the trash was overwhelming. And also, to put on top of that, you've got a lot of residents that had issues with leaks, busted pipes, so they were doing some work in their house. We had rolls of carpet that we had to pick up. A lot of things we just weren't anticipating as we went through the streets. So if you put all that together, I will say, we want to do the right thing here, and I can't say that for us to issue a credit, we won't be able to do that as a company because then we would have to do that with all 20 municipalities that we serve. That would be such a large financial impact to us. We wouldn't be able to do that. I know there's a lot of support and services and things within the community of Joshua that happens if there's ever a need for support for financial donations. We'd be more than happy to offer our services, either volunteer work, Christmas promise, bicycles, whatnot to the city. We can do that. But yeah, we dropped the ball with communication. It was something we learned Moving forward, I think we need to have more boots on the ground to monitor the streets and see what's in front of us and what we have, what kind of volumes out there. And from there, we can properly communicate to the city. And that's with every city.
Hello? Hey,
Okay.
I forgot.
Mike, when we do the spring cleanup and everything, I know we get some dumpsters. Do we have to pay for those, or do they?
We get 10 free per year in our contract, and then we pay for whatever else that we have over. And I think, speaking of those dumpsters, if this event comes up again, I think probably one of the things that we've learned we'll do is we will call and try and arrange for some of those dumpsters to be here in a specific location where people will have a place to put their trash. And I know one of the other cities did that. They were full fairly quickly, but I mean, at least there was an option. And there were some people, handicapped folks, who they routinely go and get the trash at the garage door. We sent our folks to go get those so that they were still, covered. But we're going to do some things different to help that too. And I've spoken with Norm several times about this. He's committed to help. Try to put out as many of those little fires as we can.
Anybody else? Any questions?
I just say that one of the things that I've noticed is this was a catastrophic event that we
Mr. Mayor.
kind of knew was coming. Hold on just a minute. We kind of knew it was coming, but we didn't know how truly severe it was going to be and how hard it was going to get so quickly. I feel like the majority of the city citizens felt the same pressures that we all were. We were all scrambling, trying to, keep things in order. Yeah, it was, the communication was bad, and you admitted that. It was, put your trash out, and 24 hours later, it's still there, and we're getting notices. Yeah, it's going to be picked up. No, it's not. And so it was off and on. All said and done, what was it? About 7 days later, we were all sitting here in 70-degree weather. So the trash got picked up. So things got back to normal as quickly as I know I was expecting, as the circumstances were. So as a city council member, I would ask for a little bit of leniency myself. But that's just my thoughts.
Scott, did you have something?
Mayor, he just sent a message. He's having problems with his Wi-Fi. He asked if we can put him over to the phone so he can hear.
All right.
Oh, no problem.
All the companies, liquor, everybody got overwhelmed with all this stuff. I think everybody's having
He's got a whole bunch on speakerphone. Would you move to your end over there?
lessons learned. And I think that's
Perfect.
what y'all do right here at the city,
Okay,
for
I'll
the
put you on
city
it.
stuff, for having lesson learned, so that way they prepare for next time. You're trying to do something to keep it from happening.
Yes, sir.
That's on speaker.
All right, Scott, did you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I understand the ice event. I've got no problem with the explanations and what happened after that. What I want to know is, at my end of town, 4 or 5 out of the last 8 to 10 weeks, they have not picked up twice a week. They missed the Friday pickup. It's not just because of the ice event that's the problem we're having. They're not performing their twice week pickup all over the city.
Are you aware of?
I was not aware of that. I'll look into that and work with Mr. Peacock and finding out what area that is, and we'll make sure we rectify that.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're closer to the microphone.
All right, he said he was gonna work with Mike and find out what areas are not getting picked up, and probably what we need to do, if there's a way that we can get the city notified if trash doesn't get picked up, and then work out some sort of system, so if for some reason it doesn't get picked up, we can get it picked up the next day. I know whenever they're running behind, a lot of times we'll put out a notice because they'll notify us and we get it picked up the next day. But if we've got some random places that aren't getting picked up, we'll sit there and he's going to get with Mike and see if they can't work out something on that.
Problem is, Mr. Mayor, I contacted Mike numerous times about no pickup on Friday, and they don't get it picked up till Monday, not on Saturday.
But we don't have anybody that gets Friday pickup.
That's Thursday.
Thursday pickup, excuse me. Thursday pickup, not picked up again till Monday.
Okay. Let me ask him a question. Okay, let me ask him a question. If somebody doesn't get their trash picked up on Thursday and they notify us
Next day.
next day, so that's what the policy is, and as long as we notify you, you will get it picked up the next day.
Correct.
That's not happening. I'm telling you, my trash is not getting picked up the next day when it's not picked up on Thursday. It's not picked up till Monday. And this has happened numerous times the last couple of months.
Mike?
Yeah, I'll get with Ignacio and I'll get with Ignacio and we'll.
Okay, Mike's gonna get with the gentleman that's over our area and see why we're not, getting it picked up, because it should be getting picked up, on a normal basis.
Well, if they can't make it on Thursday with the system with our contract, then we need to think about our contract's not being performed to.
Agreed?
Do they not have enough trucks? Do they not have enough people?
This is the first time I've been aware of this.
What's going on? Why are we not getting the service that our contract says we're supposed to get?
Not to fan the flames or anything, but we've actually had the same problem, I think, four times. So
Recently, or?
before the accident, so, I haven't called, I haven't made any complaints, but just so everybody knows.
It sounds like we need to have a deal on Thursday, that everybody, we need to make sure that all the citizens know to call in, and then y'all need to work out a policy with Mike to check with us on Fridays and get a list of everybody that didn't get their trash picked up, so we can make sure it gets picked up.
Agreed. We can get our arms around this. Agreed. My name is Abel Moreno, District Manager for Waste Connections.
What was it, Abel?
Abel Moreno. I've been with the district for 6 months. I've been with the company for over 10 years. I came from Houston, the Houston area. I was born and raised in Fort Worth, so happy to be back home. My family's happy to be back home, but I have a business card. If it's okay, I'd like to drop it off with everyone.
You bet.
There's no excuse for us not picking up second service day. I will take care of it. If there's any questions, please call my cell. Best way to get a hold of me.
Did you hear that, Scott?
Appreciate it.
Yes, I heard that.
But seeing's believing, right?
Exactly. Again, I've been complaining with Mike for over a month.
There you go. Thank you.
I don't understand why they aren't responding to what Mike's telling them we're having an issue with.
Mike, you got any response?
No, I mean, we have a system in place. Obviously, it's not working. We have noticed that lately, the last communication we've gotten has been in the evening. And so by then, everybody's gone. When we get the message out, it's too late. And there has been some struggles. Ignacio and I have been communicating about it. They've been coming out picking stuff up. Obviously, there's still some people missed. And so I will get him down here. We'll bring Scott in with it so that he can directly discuss with him what's going on with him. And they've never not fixed the problem to my knowledge. And so we'll get the right players and we'll fix this.
All right. Did you hear that, Scott?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Let's try to use our Facebook reach to put out a notice
Absolutely.
to ask for just some feedback or however you want to word it.
Well, I think we're going to start doing some notices with the code red system we have also.
That's a good idea.
Where we can send out some stuff. The problem is a lot of times when the message gets back to them, these drivers have got time that they're timed out and they have to be in because of their CDL restrictions. The last few times we have not gotten that message till after 7 o'clock, and by then it's just too late a lot of times to get it out. So we'll try and tighten that up, try to get that message sooner so we can get it out, and then work on the specific areas.
Mr. Torres, you got something you want to comment?
Yeah, do I got to stand up?
Sure.
No,
State your name and address.
Julian Torres, 951 in Vaughn. To Mike, we're talking about 8 people out of 1,800 and some odd made a complaint.
Yeah, they called in.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm really against that giving a credit, because if you did it to one, you're gonna have to do it to everybody. We all encountered the same thing, okay?
Sure.
But, you know, I have to play devil's advocate. I love these guys. Yeah, they fell behind, but, you know, it was 6 degrees out there. So like I said, I don't, and when it came time to pick up, they picked up carpet, they picked up everything else. And if you normally set 1 or 2 bags of trash out, when they came to pick up, they picked up your 6 or 8. They didn't just pick up. So why would you deduct or give a credit to anyone unless you're just going to say, well, this is what I would normally throw away on a Thursday, so this is what I'm setting out for them to pick up.
Well, the main reason you give them some leeway is when you're on the receiving end of some of these phone calls,
Yeah.
the only way to get off of it is to work with.
Well, then I'll expect my credit.
The girls have been cussed out, they've been yelled at, screamed at.
And I can understand that, but
sometimes it's easier just to look, let me do something here, and we go.
Yeah.
It's not everybody, it's you know,
and
oftentimes it's the same few people.
Right. And my secondary question would be were the employees, while they were off during that time through no fault of their own, are they getting paid for it?
They were allowed, we were given PTO days to compensate for that time off, so yeah.
So they had to take vacation.
Yeah, pretty much.
I got you.
But I will say this, in the last couple of weeks with the overtime that we had to put in, they more than made up for those lost wages. Because again, going back to issuing credits, we had to make extra runs to the landfill. That adds to our fuel. The overtime, we were working 70 hours for the past 3 weeks. So that more than made up for, you know, the time that we were off the weeks prior. So we did not save any money by not running that week. Whatever money we saved during that week, it was an expense the weeks after that. So
yeah, so trucks get filled faster and they've got to make more trips to the landfill.
I mean, something we can do, we can create just a short online missed trash report. So the citizen can fill it out directly, or if they call up here, staff can fill it out. That way we have a record, and we can also have it automatically go to Waste Connections. Perfect. So it's done immediately. So you know, and we know at the same time.
that'd be great.
Good.
No, Julian's got a good point about that. They do pick up a lot of stuff that we put out that some trash pickup services in some cities don't honor. Like you know, if you put out a recliner, certain days a week they'll grab it, you know, and they don't argue about it. So we do get some leeway in that. And if we put out 10 bags or 4 cans or 2 bags, it's usually pretty accommodatable. I do understand we did have some missed pickups that are missed. Like Mr. Kimball said, you know, we've got some second day pickups that are being missed, and those do need to be addressed. But I just wanted to comment on that.
Well, and which reminds me too, also, do we have an official? Remember you and I will
trash.
Yeah.
Today.
Do we have an
Mr.
official?
Bullock told us at one time and I can't remember whether it was, he said Monday's better for a bulk trash day or Thursday's better for a bulk trash day, but we could probably convey that through the city website that you know, if you have larger items.
Thursday is better, but we don't have bulk pickup per se.
Right.
We have a take all,
Right.
with the exception of construction debris and certain things, they'll pick it up. Thursdays, they may not pick up a recliner on Monday because it's a heavy day, but they'll come back and get it on Thursday.
That's what I thought Mr. Bullock said, the Thursday would be better to put fence out.
I just know Fort Worth does every third week and through Monday through
Yes.
Friday.
A lot of cities are highly restricted like that.
Yeah.
And they won't touch it. They'll walk right over it. Yeah. And that creates a real nasty situation on the streets, and especially in the wind we've had the last couple of days.
Oh, well, sure. Anybody else have anything you want to comment on? All right, Mike, I guess I can speak for everybody else. We'll let you handle it. If you feel like you get in a situation that you need to work with people, we'll go right ahead. If we're okay with that, I'll speak for everybody. All right. All right, next item is questions regarding regular session agenda items. Does anybody have any questions on any regular session agenda items? All right, Scott, I'm gonna put you up here on the counter, so just yell if you need anything.
Yes, sir.
All right, next is public forum. If we have anybody that was wanting to speak at our public forum.
No, sir.
Next item is the consent agenda. Consent agenda is to consider the approval of the minutes from the city council meeting held on February 18, 2021 and February 23rd, 2021. Anybody have any questions, or I'll entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve both.
I got a motion by Mike Kidd, seconded by Rick DePriest to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Scott?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Next, going into our regular agenda, discuss, consider, and take possible action on an ordinance amending the speed limit from 20 miles an hour to 30 miles per hour on Clubhouse Drive. Mr. Peacock, I believe y'all did some traffic studies and.
We did some counts. None of the numbers came back that are gonna fall within what would create a
Okay,
problem.
let me hold it up.
So if y'all wanted to increase the speed limit back up to 30, we didn't see any traffic pattern that's gonna be an issue for. We would put a couple of warning signs up on the cart path just to kind of remind them to watch for cars, or, to stop before they cross. I think it'll be fine. It's previously been 30 before, years back. Most of the cars traveling were below 30 anyway, so I think it'll be fine.
Did you hear that, Scott?
Yeah.
Did
You can drive faster on Country Club
He's not up there anymore.
or Clubhouse, whatever.
Did you have any comments you wanted to make, Scott?
This has been kind of ridiculous to have a 100-yard stretch 20 miles an hour for years and years. No, there's very little golf cart traffic through there now, and it just makes sense to keep it 30 miles an hour all the way through. Put the warning signs up for the golf carts.
Anybody else have anything they want, comments they want to make? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
All right. I'll second. Got a motion by Scott Kimball, seconded by Robert Purdom to approve an ordinance amending the speed limit from 20 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour on Clubhouse Drive. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
All right, motion carries 7-0. Next item, discuss, consider, and take possible action on an agreement with Freeze and Nichols for professional services in connection with the Caddo Road, North Main Street, and 4th Street improvements. Mr. Peacock.
These are the first two streets of the bond proposal that was passed last year. This will be for the engineering, testing, and bidding process to get underway for Caddo and 4th Street. And then the third, this agreement will also include Main Street. If we're able to get that in, depending on, we're still working with the utility district on their water line. We've still got some questions with TxDOT that are unanswered as far as the underpass. So right now, mainly this number is going to be for those streets where we're only going to bid Caddo and 4th Street currently.
Does anybody have any questions? Mike said this was the bond election that was passed, I believe, a year ago in November of 19. Scott, you got any questions on this?
No, sir.
All right, I'll entertain a motion then to approve.
Mayor, we need an authorization for signature.
Okay. Angela, you said you make a motion. And with that motion, did you have with authorization for the city manager or mayor to approve and sign it? Mike?
It doesn't say, whoever you want.
Okay. You say authorization for the city manager to sign. All right, we got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Angela Nichols, seconded by Mike Kidd, to approve the professional services in connection with Caddo Road, North Main Street, and Fourth Street improvements to be authorized or signed for by the city manager. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Carried 7-0.
Mayor, I apologize. Before you go to the next one, the public forum, we have a presentation that we kind of skipped over. If you don't mind, can we do that real quick? So that they can move on, Chief?
Yeah, Scott, we're doing a presentation right now.
As everybody knows by now, during the winter storm, we had a major water issue. And we had to get a lot of bottled water in, as well as other non-potable water. But it just turns out on a particular day, we were assisted by the city of Burleson with getting a large 18-wheeler full of water, about 20 or so pallets. The problem was we didn't have a way to unload it at the fire station. So one of our other citizens made a contact with Mr. Larry Vance, and Mr. Vance spent an entire Saturday at the fire station, first of all, waiting on the truck to come, which didn't show up for about 3 hours late. And then he helped us with his skid loader, remove those pallets. We actually had to drag them out because there was no way. They had turned them and mounted them sideways in the tractor, in the trailer, so that the forks couldn't fit under them. So we actually had to turn these things around and then drag them where we could get them out of the way and then get to them. So I wanted to give something to Mr. Vance to show our appreciation for helping us on that day. And if you would please come up here. We're going to give him this plaque. And it says, in recognition of his service to the city of Joshua and the Joshua Fire Department during winter storm, believe it or not, has a name, Yuri. February 13th through 17th, 2021. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. It's always nice for citizens to step up and do what you do. We appreciate it. Also, Mike, did you want to make an announcement this one time or introduce somebody or?
Yeah, but I'm going to take this time to say something else too. I'm a little irritated. People didn't comment on those nice soft new chairs that you got. So your old ones will be back there. We, Joanna and I went through a significant number of applicants' resumes. And we are very fortunate that we made a selection for assistant city manager. Amber Branson is here tonight to be joining us on April the 5th. She came very highly recommended from our friends at King. She's got her undergraduate and graduate degree from Carleton in public administration. She does human resources for them, and as I'm told, has kind of been functioning as a ACM over there for some time. She's got her fingers on a lot of projects going on there with Mike, the city manager, who is very complimentary of her. So we're very glad to have her, and we will get her up and running April the 5th.
Right. Welcome aboard, Amber. Glad to have you. All right, next item is to discuss, consider, and take action on an ordinance adopting a new zoning district map that will replace all previous zoning maps. And basically this, we're not changing any zoning, but we actually have found some mistakes, and this was a map that was primarily correcting mistakes. Alice, do you have anything you want to add?
That's correct. And the last zoning map that was approved by council was 2012. So basically what we did is took all the ordinances that was zoning change from 2012 current. Our city engineer went in and just updated the map. It's not making any changes than what's already been approved.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
a motion we approve that.
Okay. Got a motion by Mike Kidd, second by Robert Fleming, to approve an ordinance adopting the new zoning district map that replaces all previous zoning maps. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Scott? Hello, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, next is discuss, consider, take possible action on the board appointment. We had a gentleman, Mr. Waldrop, who's a retired Texas Ranger, that is asked to be put on the board. He left it open. If I'm not mistaken, we've got a couple of openings on the type A board. So I would suggest that we put Mr. Waldrop on the type A board since there's currently 2 openings on that board. Does anybody have any other recommendations or questions, concerns? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to appoint Johnny Waldrop to place 3 on the type A economic board.
I'll make a motion, that we approve Johnny Waldrop for place 3 type A.
All right, one second.
I'll second.
Okay. Got a motion by Robert Fleming, seconded by Scott Kimball to appoint Johnny Waldrop to place 3 on the type A economic board. All those in favor?
Yes.
Thanks, Scott. Motion carries 7-0. Staff reports. Anybody have any questions on any of the staff reports?
I guess this might be a good place to ask this. Can we get an update on any board positions that are vacant right now that you might need to fill that we can start working on?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and email it out.
Going into the election and stuff, as soon as the election happens, we'll need to fill those positions as quick as possible, if there's any.
Okay.
Scott, did you have any questions on any of the reports?
No, sir.
Did you see the fire department report?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, good deal. Anybody else have any questions?
Not a question, but just a compliment.
Okay.
Chief, you did it. You came through with what you said you would. Well, it's team effort. We really all get it done together.
Now, for everybody that doesn't know, we've had our paid firefighters came on board first week of February. And during the entire month of February, I think we had 1 call that was missed prior to them coming on, and we only had 1 missed since they've been here, and that was due to a sort of a technical situation in that we didn't get the right calls at the right proper time. So that's been rectified. We've also reduced our response time by 2 full minutes of responding to the fires faster. So I think it's working very well. There's also been some comments on Facebook about people leaving and everything. Believe me, we have all of the volunteers are doing a tremendous job. The ones that left, I think one of them hadn't been on the call in a year and a half. One of them had been on disability for 2 years. One of them was an instructor that hadn't been any, I don't know how long. One of them was one of our firefighters that was making calls, but we're in good shape. We've got a good volunteer group. We've got some going through the class now. So I think our fire department's in very good hands, and they are definitely responding to the call. So thanks, Chief. We'll pass that along to everybody. I think that's a good job that they've done. All right, at this point in time, we're going to go into executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551, Subchapter D of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. Consultation with the city attorney regarding legal issues associated with agreements pursuant to Chapter 43 of the Texas Local Code and all matters and incident related thereto. Also pursuant to Section 551.071 and 551.074, consultation with the city attorney regarding personnel matters and all matters incident related thereto. We're going to go into executive session at 7:14. Future agenda items. I've been talking with Mike, and I think it's something that we need to do. If he's going to reach out to our engineers, but we need to look at starting to use impact fees to take care of. We have sewer issues, the road issues. What's the third? Drainage. So that we would be looking at, this would be strictly on new homes coming in, so we'll be paying an impact fee. one of the things that by law we have to do is we have to go out and do a request for proposal or a request for,
So we have to do a study.
we have to do a study, and to do the study, we don't have to go out and ask everyone to submit something. We can ask, but he's looking into that. I think at the next council meeting, he'll have some numbers for us, but we'd like to get that on the agenda to start doing that. So, and this would also take care of parks too. Like we have a real issue now when somebody comes in, how much do they owe for the park fund? Do they give up land? You know, it doesn't work as well. Whereas if we just had a straight fee that says, hey, this is what your fee is, and that's what you pay that will go into the park fund. So we're going to look at that. And so I'm going to ask Mike to try and have that information for us at our next council meeting. Does anybody have anything else? If not, then we're adjourned at 8:24. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, guys.